Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, welcome to Authentic Conversations presented by Transition Clarity. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and today is my pleasure to be joined by Sara Im, and her book is called How I Survived the Killing Fields. So you grew up in Cambodia, you grew up in the genocide, you grew up in all of that horrific trauma, and yet you're here smiling, a bright light to share your story. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
So let's go back to the beginning, like, you know, and um, obviously, you went through it all again with writing the book. I hear that with other authors, but help the viewers and the listeners understand who is little Sara through all of this. How do you keep that spirit going through the trauma?
Well, I have to share my background when I grew up. I grew up in Cambodia. I was the firstborn child, and my parents are farmers, and they live in the countryside. And I experienced so much love because you're the first child in the family. So what do you expect? So I experienced so much love from my family. So I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And I was encouraged that I should stay in school and continue on to get higher education. And that's what I did. I did as soon as I can, I attended college, which is far away from home. I left my hometown, left my family, and I went to the capital city studying engineering.
Oh wow.
So my vision for my future was
Yeah.
so great and scary at the same time. It's, what can I do? There's not much option. In a small country, you don't have that much option to choose. But
But
while
hang on, but you had the option, and you had parents that were raising you to believe you could be more than what they had shown you.
yeah,
You could go to university or college, or you didn't have to be a farmer. So that's
right,
awesome.
yeah. So from that perspective, I am so grateful. While I was in college, this a really terrible thing happened in Cambodia. You probably heard it through history. The communist Khmerus took over. They came in the military takeover in the capital city. They marched in with their big truck and tank and automatic weapon and all that, very scary. And they shut down the whole city. And
And what
immediately,
year was that again?
1975,
75. Okay.
75. Yeah, I was 21 at that time. So they also start to evacuate people out of the city. Their intention is to clean up, to re-educate all of us. They don't like the way that we live in the democracy. They are the communists. They believe in communism and they are bitter about us. So their intention is to punish us. So they did. They did. They they pull us out from our own place, and I just walk out from my where I was with nothing. It's only a few clothes and some food. That's it. And I walk, follow the crowd, the big crowd, and I was trying to find my way to go back home, but there is no way. because they shut down the transportation.
Hmm.
They there was no telephone, there's no post office anymore, so nothing worked. I could not go home. I followed the crowd and I end up in the camp, the big camp. They put all the single people to work in this camp.
Right.
So they work us so hard. I work in the rice field in the intense sun all day long, like 15, 16 hours a day in the heat, and we got very little food to eat and only a few hours of sleep. And there's no rest. 7 days a week, we work in the sun all day long. So pretty soon, many of us got sick because we were exhausted and starved and sick. So I contracted several diseases. I had malaria, typhoid, and I swelled up, and later on I lost my sight because of lack of nutrition. The I lost my sight at night. They call it night blindness. So
Oh, that's interesting.
it happened when you don't eat enough nutrition.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean
So
that's so common in today's day and age that that shouldn't be.
yeah, yeah. So we don't have enough nutrition. We barely eat anything. So when I got too sick to work, I was sent to an infirmary. It's a makeshift infirmary, and there's nothing to help me to get better because there's no doctor or nurse or medication. It's not a it's not a hospital.
Right.
It, it's just a place for us to rest without having to go to work. But it's a dangerous place because people there are getting so sick and they have a lot of disease, and I could end up getting more disease into my body because everything is contagious. When you are so weak, you lack
Right.
nutrition, you lack of energy, your system is so weak, you will take anything. So I was so fearful for my life. I don't want to stay in that infirmary too long. So I was looking for my way out from there. But where can you go? Where can you go? You go back to the working place, you can't work. If you
Right.
if you stay there, you will die. If you run away, where can you run?
And then
So
you also don't even have your family support because you can't get to them. They have no idea where you are
yeah,
because
yeah,
they've probably been put in a different camp.
right, right. So I was so desperate. I want to leave. I That's the one thing that I remember. I never give up. I never just let go. Let
Mhm.
let me let me die. No, I never thought of that. So I pray. The only way that I can do is pray at night. So I believe that there is God that is big and He knows everything. I was so young. I'm not really into religion or anything, but I believe that there is God. So I pray and ask God to help me every
Well,
night.
and I want to interrupt here because a lot of the viewers that would probably be listening to this
Yeah.
would would not equate God with religion. God is the Almighty. God is the everyone has God within them, but
Mm-hmm.
religion is what they want to teach you.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not into
That's just a yeah.
religion, but I know for sure that there is God. So I pray to God. Say, ask God to help me. So I pray every night. I pray and pray and pray. And one morning, when I woke up very early in the morning,
Mhm.
I feel like, oh, I need to sneak out somehow. So I took a chance. I I walk out from there, walk toward the working people, the working camp. So here's what happened. When I get closer to where people are working at the camp, there's one team leader. She used to know me while I was still working there, and she feels so sympathy for me, and she say, oh, look how skinny you are. Come and, you know, let me help you find something to do. In this whole big camp, nobody not do anything. Everybody had to do some work.
Mhm.
So that's what she's saying. That say, let me try to find something for you to do. So she realized I'm so sick. I cannot work. And she have an idea. She went to the kitchen. This kitchen, they prepare food to feed this whole camp, 1,000 people. And this kitchen staff, they said, oh, let her come here. We can use some help. So I'm so grateful. God answered my prayer in the most unbelievable way. I think it must be God because nobody ever thought of going to the working in the kitchen when everybody stopped to death work in the rice field all day long. And that's that's my life saving event the first time. So when I work in the kitchen, I have more access to food and work less hours, work in the shade, not in the heat. So gradually I felt better and better and better. For several months I was able to stay there and recover most of my health. I'm almost back to normal, but not quite back to normal yet. But when the big supervisor saw me capable, he wouldn't like to have me stay there. He pulled me out and throw me back in the rice field.
Wow.
So yeah. So I had to go back and work with everybody else in the rice field. For 4 years, I endured the harsh labor in the rice field. Yeah. I almost didn't make it. I got sick again and again and again. I got sent to that place, infirmary again, and I sneak out again. But many times they throw me back into the rice field. And finally, the camp got moved. They moved the camp because there was some commotion from afar. There's somebody that come after them. I didn't know at the time, but they moved us. They moved us closer and closer to the jungle. So I realized, oh my goodness, we are moving in the jungle. I don't like it. My goal is to find my family, to find them, to see what happened to them, and to help them out. And at one point, after we get in further into the jungle, I make a decision that I need to run away. I need to escape. So God gave me the courage.
And so
And
did he show you the way?
um,
Like,
I don't know. I did not have a direction of where to go, but I have an idea to gather three friends that I trust, and I asked them, "Would you run away with me?" Because I was so frail at that time. I was back to my old frail uh, myself. It alone I cannot do it. So I asked my friend to go and help me to support me during the journey. And we all know nothing. We know have no idea where to go, but the only thing we know that we want to track back the place the path that we came from.
mhm.
So we try to backtrack and we wait till nighttime to escape. And yeah, when nighttime come, we all four of us hold hand and run as fast as we can, get out from there. And I have no idea why we didn't get lost. I have no idea.
Well,
But
and just the fact that you were already suffering from night vision problems because of the malnutrition, and then you only can go at night, right? And so here, like,
yeah,
you're probably not the only one that was suffering. And here you are escaping with no one being able to really see because of the lack of nutrition, and you're running as fast as you can through the dark. Like, I mean, like
yeah,
the parable of that is just too funny. But it's, I mean, like I can't like imagine. And 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 I mean, we talk about it even in these times of how North Americans just don't know struggle. Like
yeah,
the kids nowadays think, oh, we don't have the internet for 5 seconds. Like, what's wrong? Right? Like,
yeah, right. If there is a storm that cut off the electricity for a few minutes, we are in trouble.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so that where I was so dependent on my three friends
Hmm.
because I cannot see and they hold my hand and we run together.
Well,
And
and kudos to your friends for jumping in with you to say, yeah, let's go.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's something, it's got to be better than it inside this camp.
yeah, yeah. So the camp start out with 1,000 people.
Hmm.
But by that time that I ran away, we probably have less than 300 people. The rest are
700
gone.
died,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
like
So
from malnutrition or killing.
both, both.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Some people run away before I did, but they might get caught. Who know? It's just like one by one, people are disappearing. But back to my story, my journey. We run all night long, and when the day come, we look back and we didn't see any of those people that hold us captive, and we know that we are free. So we were free, and then we keep walking, and then finally we saw some people in the village, and we asked for direction to go to my hometown, and some people know how to tell us the direction, and we follow. And after a long, long, long walk,
So
and
who invaded Cambodia?
the communist Khmer, the communist Cambodian, there is a group
Oh, okay. So
there's a group that believe in communism, and
it was
they,
infighting within their own people.
yeah,
They got bigger. Okay.
mm,
I was this big in
yeah,
1975. So
they
okay.
gather the troop, the tribe, and they solicit the young people from school, and they took them and brainwashed them with the new ideology. So
And you'd think with all this happening over and over and over in different countries, different, that we would wake up and learn,
yeah.
but we
So
haven't.
that's why I cannot stay quiet, because people need to know.
Mhm.
Because if we don't know, the people come and solicit and do their propaganda, and if we are not aware, we believe in their propaganda blindly.
Yeah. But it's still happening today,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like, um, because I was just talking to somebody from Eastern Europe somewhere, and she says like her whole life, all she knew is she had to get out. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't, but she just knew she couldn't live under that strain. And
Yeah.
then I said, well, now you're in Canada. And she's like, oh, they just don't know. I go, I know they don't know. And that's why I love finding people like you who are willing to share your story and to help educate the privileged that whine about not having internet for 5 minutes, or my mom's like picking me up, like how dare her, right? Like those aren't things to complain about. Be grateful you
Mhm.
have a mom,
Yeah.
right? Be grateful that you have a phone,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So did you find your family?
I finally found my family.
That's wonderful.
And the bad thing of all is my immediate family are alive. My mom, my dad, and my three brothers. And many years later, I found out they almost got wiped out in one gunshot.
Oh wow.
They tried to escape just like I did, and they
Yeah.
got caught. They got caught. The armed guard saw them run away, and they almost pulled the trigger, but my mom was so clever, and she come up with some excuse, and the guard listened to her, and he put down his gun. But that's included in my book. I
Yeah.
don't want to spoil it because I explain a lot more detail in the book, but
Oh, absolutely. I
yeah,
don't like, yeah, I mean, we want people to get your book and hear the full story, but this is just sharing a little bit insight to who you are, how you know, your upbringing. So how, okay, so now how did you get to America? Or did I
yeah.
jump too far? I'm trying to give
Another
a
another
little.
another escape. Believe it or not, it's another escape.
And did your
Um,
whole family come with?
now
Oh,
now not at the beginning. I was the first one who escaped out of the country through the Thai border, through the dangerous border where there are a lot of landmines. I could have stepped on a landmine, but
so how
thank
come they
God.
deemed you the fearless leader? Like,
Pardon me?
how come, like, you have three brothers? How did you become their fearless leader? To,
I'm the oldest.
doesn't matter. Oldest doesn't
I'm the
mean you're the
oldest. My
bravest.
bro, my brother next to me, he just got married, and his father-in-law was sick, and his wife cannot leave her family. And my mom was sick at that time. My mom had a history of paralysis. At one point, she had an accident. I skipped that part that my mom got sick with paralysis. I just
Okay.
don't want to give too long of the detail.
Yeah.
So my mom keep getting a stroke a few times, and before I escaped, she had another stroke, so she could not travel. So she the one who encouraged me to go. Honey, you need to go because this is not safe for you.
You
So
knew she knew you were destined for a better life.
yeah, so she pushed me and I cried. My eye was like I
It's
cried
bad
out
enough
because
going down the street to the college. It's like you want me to go to a different country. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I make the joke I've never lived further than 20 miles from the day I was born, but I find everyone like you that who comes to my city and my country, and I welcome them because I think it's marvelous, right? That like you traveled how many thousands of miles? You came from all these amazing different countries, but they knew they wanted more. They knew they wanted better. And I knew I was born in the best place for me,
yeah.
right?
So so with my mom's encouragement, and she had a cousin who had come to United States for study. So she
Mm.
said, go find my cousin and he will help you. So that was a little bit of hope. So I crossed the border and struggle and get into Thailand. and found a refugee camp and make connection with my relative, and he sponsored me to come to United States. That's how I end up here in United States.
And have you always lived in the Florida area?
No, I live in
Mm.
5 states, so
Oh,
I
wow.
moved.
You just keep traveling. No grass growing under your feet.
Yeah, I arrived in Connecticut, and
Okay.
then after I got married, I moved to Texas, and then Florida the first time, and then Massachusetts, and then Atlanta, Georgia, and then finally come back to Florida.
Wow. The Free State. Well, in the last couple of years, the Free State, or that's what it's been nicknamed, right?
Yeah,
So that's interesting that you ended up in Florida as you're writing this book of freedom, of I've survived and I'm never going back. I'm going to the safest, freest place that I can be me, and no one's telling me different.
yeah.
Wow. So do you have kids?
I have two stepsons.
Okay.
Yeah, I married a widow. He had two
Oh,
children before he married me. So those two sons are amazing. I love them. And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, so yeah, so like that's interesting that you didn't have your own, so like you can share the story without it being imprinted,
mm,
right?
yeah, yeah. I want to have my children, but I don't know. It just not happen. It's not happening.
What do you mean?
I want to be pregnant, but I couldn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many people that, wanted to have a baby, and from working with people, including myself, I always said there was a bigger purpose that God had for us,
Mm-hmm.
that we didn't get caught in the everyday mundane of raising children, that we had a bigger purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
so you were blessed with beautiful sons from
Yeah.
someone else, and they chose you and you chose them.
Yeah. Yeah. I am grateful.
Hmm.
I'm grateful. So, and I have niece and nephew. So that's good enough.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And like everyone's family, we're all one. Like, who cares if our names aren't the same?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
So
did
now,
your other family, like, did your brothers ever make it over? They
yeah,
all.
a few years after I arrived in United States, my mom have an issue. Well, they rob her. The people in the country rob her, and she got so mad. She said, I'm going to find my daughter. So she gathered all her children and come to the border, cross the border just like I did. But they got into an obstacle. By the time they arrived in the camp, the refugee camp that was set up by United Nations,
Hmm.
at that when my family arrived, the camp was closed to new registration. So they don't register any new people.
Yeah.
So my family found themselves in limbo, and they had to live in hiding. And the Thai
In
soldier
Thailand.
in Thailand, they cannot go back home. And but thank goodness, I worked very hard to find a way to bring them. So I have some friends who co-sponsor me, co-sponsor with me to bring them in as a immigrant. So
And what
it
year was that when you brought them?
say they arrived in 1989.
Oh my gosh. So quite a
Yeah,
few years after you came.
yeah. I came in 81, and around 83, 84, they left the country. So they got stuck in the camp for 5 years. 5 years. Very, very challenging. I was so worried about them, but hard work pay off. I
Well, and then it's hard because here you are living the American dream, right? Like, yes, you're working hard, but it's different hard. You know,
mhm.
like you're trying to, you're surrounded by supposedly all this wealth as your family's just look like, you know, sucking nowhere's land, trying to come to America to be together. But the main point is you all made it here to be
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
you know,
mm,
and it's amazing that your mom was able to do it with all the strokes,
yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
so obviously some of her strength rubbed off on you. You
yeah.
know,
My mom was able to come, and she lived with me the last 13 years of her life. I was her caregiver. I care for her
right?
here in Florida until she passed on.
Well, and then testaments to your husband too, to like that's a lot for an American guy to take on, right? Like he's going,
Yeah,
okay, well I come with kids, and you say, well I come with this whole crazy family, right? Like that is escaping their crazy town, you know, for a better
yeah,
life, right? And
uh
all the drama and whatever that comes along with that too. So I mean, like that's what I'm saying. The story like is remarkable, and that and it also goes deeper to whether you believe in God or not, we all have a spirit within us that drives us further than we know that we can go,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Like they say, like if a kid's stuck under a car, the mother can lift the car.
yeah, yeah.
It's not logical.
Unbelievable.
It is my child is stuck. The car is getting lifted, right?
Yeah.
And
The power of love.
yeah, yeah. And so yeah, like it's just um the did you feel like you had a knowing in you, like deep inside, like you were gonna make it, everything was gonna be okay?
Well, I'm not sure what to say, but for some reason, I was not giving up.
Yeah.
I was not hopeless. I still have hope at
Is
that
that
time.
because you had that connection with God through your prayers?
Still have connection with God. Still have connection with the love of my family. Um, yeah. Now it helped me to go back to tell why I have that security, that
Mm-hmm.
strength in me. Because when I was a teenager, my mom had an accident and
Mm-hmm.
she became paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as the oldest child, I was the caregiver to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I love my mom so much that I care for her with all my heart, with love, with compassion, and I want her to get well. So we built such a strong love bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that my mom loved me and I love her. And that strong bond helped me carry me through the hardest time. And I want to go back to help my mom to take care of her again.
Yeah.
So, but her paralysis was over in about 4.5 years. She was able to walk again, but she never be back to know her normal self. She
No.
was still frail, she weak, all that. But God put this situation in my life so that I can build such a strong, unbreakable bond with my mom, so that I can survive during
Yeah.
the hardest time in my life.
So where did your dad and your brothers fit in them?
My brother and my dad, they are in they are in my heart also. I love them as one. But
Yeah, but
my
like obviously it was your mom and you that had that un unshakable bond that that
Yeah, I love
survival.
my,
And so did your brothers have that same feeling? Like,
yeah, we all bond together. We all
yeah.
have love together. I love my baby brother just as much as my mom because
Well,
I have
and do you
raised,
think,
huh?
like, so from other friends from Cambodia, do you think that starting out your family on the farm, that you had that stronger bond than if you had met friends like from the city?
It depends on the family. Some family they have a good relationship um,
Mm-hmm.
within the family member,
Mm-hmm.
and some people don't have as good a relationship. So it doesn't matter where you live. It's the family unit. In Asia, family is very important to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not individualist like here in United States.
Yeah.
Everybody, once you become 18, you get kicked out from the
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
to build your life. It's one way to help a child to become a real person, a responsible person.
Yeah.
That's different. But in terms of the relationship, the family unit is completely different in Asia.
Well, and I think, but I mean, um, I believe we're going back to that,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
Because the last 3 years we had to figure out if we even like the people we live with, let
yeah,
alone love them,
yeah,
right? And I believe, like, as we move into this new world from the chaos, as we rebuild, we're rebuilding as loving community, right? Because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and she said something about, oh, the North America just doesn't even understand, right? It's like, because she was talking from South Africa, and she says the best thing about not having internet all the time is you go and talk to your neighbor and borrow some sugar. She says, we always have internet here, so we always can work. She goes, the day is going to come when the internet goes down and you're going to have to go borrow some sugar from your neighbor and you're going to meet them for the first time. And it's so true. You can live in a community for 20 years and not who you know who your neighbors are.
yeah, yeah,
And I have a lot of Asian friends and stuff. And it's like, I love that everyone comes. It's one family. It doesn't
yeah,
matter who you're born to.
yeah,
Sister, brother, we're all one. Let's go.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and in Cambodia, it's like that. When we make a good meal, we bring a dish to neighbor to the right, a dish to the neighbor to the left, and
And
then
they can send you home with one. Who needs to go to a smorgasbord? You just knock on the neighbor's doors and you ended up with one. Yeah, and that's what I think we're missing here in North America, because we have so much affluence. We're forgetting the best gift is each other,
yeah,
sharing communication with each other, right? And um, I still want to get back to that.
yeah.
You
I
know, and
think that,
even like growing up, right? I was like, if someone had nowhere to go for Christmas or Thanksgiving, come on over. Like, there's always room, right?
yeah,
Some came, some didn't. It's their choice.
mm-hmm,
But don't say you didn't have an invitation, because you always had an invitation,
right,
you know. And I also am very grateful that my parents accommodated it, right? Because I knew
yeah.
other parents that were like, you're not having a stranger over for Christmas. I'm like, why not? They're not a stranger.
They're my friend.
Yeah. Who cares if they're from, Timbuktu, right? Yeah. So yeah, and that's the whole thing about like, just going back to your book a bit, or your story about, like, putting in the time, putting in the labor, but your heart's always saying, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. Like, I don't know how, but I'll find the right people. And you slowly befriend people who you can trust,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
and I think in that way, that is the biggest learning is you can be friendly to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but who do you trust? Who is your heart saying, that's
Yeah,
my person?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you mentioned that, I like to share when I got sick with typhoid and then
Hmm.
night blindness. So
Hmm.
that means at nighttime I need to get up to go to the bathroom,
Hmm.
and it's
You
not
can't see
easy
where
to
the
go
bathroom is.
when you cannot see,
Yeah.
and you have to go so often. And I tap on my neighbor, my my friend who sleep next to me. We sleep next to each other,
Hmm.
and I tap on her shoulder. Please help me. So he get up and take me there and bring me
Hmm.
back, because sometimes I'm just hesitant to to wake somebody up, and I went by myself and I got lost because you cannot find your way home, your way back, because you cannot see. You are totally blind at night.
Well, especially when you move, when the camp moved to the jungle, like it's even darker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
And heaven forbid they'd put a string around that you could use the string.
yeah, yeah. So we help each other out, and I make some sisterhood, sister, like God sister.
Yeah.
We call each other sister.
Yeah.
Uh,
So speaking of your sisters, did you all get out? Did you
yeah,
stay friends?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
my three friend, no, my three
No?
friend, after we found my family, we invite them to stay with us, and they stay for 1 year, and then they need to move on to find their own family.
And you didn't keep in touch.
No, we there's no, at that time the country was chaotic. There is no
Yeah.
post office, no way to keep in touch. We have no idea where they are now.
Have you ever tried to find them?
Where? No.
No. Well, that's
I
honest.
even
That's honest.
I even forget their name now. It had been so long.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
Well, and that's the old saying, right? A reason, a season, or a lifetime. They were in your
yeah,
life for a reason,
yeah,
not a lifetime, but
yeah,
always in your heart is a lifetime.
right. And like in about 10 days, one of my friends from the same camp, she found me on the internet. She did some research and she found me, and she sent me a letter. So that it had been a few years back. And then she called me the last couple months. She said, I want to come to visit you. I'm coming to Georgia and Florida. So can we meet? I said, sure, yes. So I'm going to meet her the very first time for the last almost 50 years.
That's incredible. I
Yeah,
hope you have someone recording it.
yeah. I plan to record on my phone.
Yeah, but whoever's around, like if you're meeting at a restaurant, have someone else record it so you don't like you can be in the
Yeah,
full emotion of it.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh, see
will.
that warms my heart. That makes like when you have hear stories like that, like yes, the killing fields were awful, the struggles are real. It's when you get to reignite with someone else who has made it, who also had that fire in their belly to never give up,
Yeah.
right?
If you know what you want. In my case, I want my family. I want to be I want to be back with my family to help out.
Hmm.
And I did not give up. No matter how sick I was, no matter how hard they pushed me to work, I comply, and I want to keep moving one day at a time. Yeah.
So do your brothers live close?
My brother live. In Connecticut.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not
They
too
all live
cool.
there?
Two of them live in Connecticut,
Okay.
one in California.
Oh,
So
wow. Let's not stay close. We got the
no.
land of freedom. Oh, that's amazing. Like just
Anyway,
it's just this is so wonderful, this feeling of inspiration and um upliftingness, because as a transition coach, helping people see the light that they're more than what they believe they are. And here's this story of you, like, I don't know, I'm being sent to college. I don't know. I know I can't stay in the infirmary. I got to go find something else, right? I know I'll die if I stay here, so I'll go in the kitchen. Okay, like, and I can't see to go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna trust that if I wake this person up, and it's just the little steps that we don't think is anything that add to the big beautiful journey to where we are today.
yeah,
And it's honoring every one of those little steps to say, just take one step.
yeah,
We're not asking you to pave the road. We're just saying, take one step.
yeah,
And that step will open up the next step. And then next
mhm,
thing you know, you've done 10 steps. And
yeah,
congratulate yourself on the 10 steps.
right.
Because when you took the first step, you didn't know you could make 10 steps, right?
Yeah. All we can do is just one step at a time.
Yeah.
But trust that you will get there.
Well,
It's
yeah.
just
I mean, could you have ever imagined when you're laying in the infirmary going, I'm not staying here because, like, they're all sick, they're going to make me die, that you'd end up having a great life in Florida after five
ne-
different states, right?
yeah.
Like, like your life ended up more beautiful than you could have ever imagined to paint,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And who would have ever thought that college girl that's in the rice fields was going to be an author, a speaker?
It's unbelievable. I never thought it's possible, but it's possible. I I've I realized God have a plan for each one of us. He
Mhm.
had a plan. We just have to trust him.
Well, we also got to stop thinking we know the plan and listen, right? That's my hang up every once in a while. I'm like, oh, sorry, I haven't been listening. I'll be quiet. Because it's true. Like, I think the last few years, and I want to get your perspective on the last few years too, because of your journey. Did you feel it's happening all over again?
I
Like you're
feel
being
it is
invaded, they're taking away my
li-
family.
yeah, a little bit. They feel the restriction now to do this and that. So it it, it remind me of the past, but I'm I'm familiar with the past, so I say this will pass. This time it will pass. So
But did you find any traumas that came up from the
not
past?
me.
No.
No. My friend, my co-host, I have a co-host. I have a podcast with a co-host, and she had PTSD. She was shaky and remind of her past. She's
Yeah.
from Vietnam. I'm from Cambodia. So she called me up. She said, Sarah, we need to do something. So that's something is the podcast that we're doing live, a live Facebook show. And she had a PTSD and she reminded of the past. But it remind me, but I'm not fearful. Um, I'm more calm, more at peace. I'm
Mhm.
reach I'm reach the point that I'm at peace. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, yeah. Um, I had my The first couple weeks I was like freaking out, and then I went, "Oh, this is stupid," and I just carried on because
Yeah.
yeah, like it's you just you saw the craziness. Like it was like this can't be real, right? And Michael Beckwith, Reverend Michael Beckwith said it perfectly when he said, "No other time in history have the well and the sick been quarantined together." He says
Yeah.
that was our first thing that something wasn't right.
Right.
Right? Because even
Yeah.
you in Cambodia, you got sent to the infirmary.
Yeah.
They didn't have the whole thing as the infirmary.
No.
Right?
No.
And so
Mm.
yeah, that was eye opening when he said that because I was like, it's so
Mhm.
true. You know, you don't bring the infirmary into the mass population,
No.
right? So
No.
as we're wrapping up, what would you say to the young people coming up now about moving forward, believing in their strength, finding their strength, or however you want to say it?
Yeah. Well, for the young people, I would say that you trust your sense of who you are. You trust your family. That's come from me, from an Asian person.
Mm-hmm.
I love my family. So you have a group of people that you have trust, and you keep sharing what's happening in your life. You keep sharing and helping each other. So create your own family unit. If it's not your own immediate flesh and blood family, the people in your community, create that community that you trust and build that trust and support each other. That's very healthy. It's the healthy way to live in society, and it's supporting your health, your mindset, and your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
people
and
connection.
just I think just bring it down to the basic stuff of being kind to each other.
Yeah,
If you can
yeah,
help, help. Like today, like I was saying, right, as an event, and there's a lady trying to put a wheelchair through the door, and so two of us just cleared the way for her, helped the open the door, like move the chairs. Like, was it anything like that was hard for us? No, but were they both very grateful and said, "Oh, you guys are so kind." I said, "Well," and it struck a chord in me about it's sad that people like no, hang on. It made me aware of how easy it is to be kind, and when you are kind to others, how much they appreciate
yeah, yeah.
it. It took
It's
20 seconds out of my day to open a door, and it's
yeah, yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, be kind. Be kind to one another and support one another.
Mhm. And that's all we can ask is you know like friend, family, um, enemy. It doesn't matter because we're all one. We're all on this planet to be of service to each other, and that's all we can do. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. Be kind to one another and helping one another and have some trust, build trust with one another, build relationship and trust. That's important. So that's why I say create a unit like a family that you can go to on a regular basis. You share the struggle, you share some difficulties, some challenge, and you help each other solve each other's problem. Just like my friend, my campmate, when I have a problem, they help me. They lead me to go to the bathroom at night time when I cannot do. So that's an extreme example, but in our community here, we don't need to go that extreme, but we all need each other's help.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone who's joined us for Authentic Conversations. Thank you to Sarah for being my guest. And her book again is How to Survive the Killing Fields. Until
Yeah,
next time.
my book is available on my website only. It's not on Amazon.
Okay.
It,
I'll put
yeah,
that in the show notes. So
yeah. I appreciate you having me. So
I
I hope,
appreciate you being here. Thank you.
yeah, listen.